All right, so get this. You sent in a podcast discussion all the way from Dubai along with some official reports, and it's all about the crazy world of crypto AI and how governments are trying to keep up.
Yeah, it's interesting how everything's kind of like colliding. You've got presidents launching meme coins, and that sparks all these regulatory debates on the other side of the world.
Wait, hold on. President's launching meme coins?
You heard that right? Yeah.
Hmm.
President Javier Milei of Argentina, he actually launched one called LIBRA.
Okay, now that's something I have to hear more about. But first, for those of us who don't spend all day thinking about crypto, can you explain what exactly is a meme coin? I mean, isn't it just like internet funny money?
Yeah, pretty much meme coins are basically cryptocurrencies that go viral, usually because of online hype. They don't usually have any real-world value or use, which makes them like super volatile. Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, those are like the classic examples.
So kind of like the Beanie Babies of the crypto world, everyone rushing in hoping to get rich quick, but it could all just crash down.
Exactly. And that's kind of what happened with Miles' Libra coin. It shot up like 400% and then plummeted more than 90% in a classic pump and dump scheme.
Ouch. That's gotta hurt for anyone who bought in near the top. But tell me, is that even legal? What does the SEC think about all this?
Well, the US SEC has said that meme coins aren't under their jurisdiction yet. So Congress is kind of left to figure out how to regulate them.
So in the US, it's kind of a free-for-all right now. But what about other parts of the world? I know Dubai is becoming a major hub for all things crypto.
Right. And their Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, or VARA, they're considering putting the brakes on meme coins because of how risky they are.
So you've got the US taking a hands-off approach and Dubai potentially cracking down. That's quite a contrast. I wonder what this all means for the future of meme coins.
Yeah, it really shows how tough it is to regulate crypto globally, especially at something like meme coins that operates outside the traditional financial system.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, is all the focus on regulating crypto even aimed at the right thing?
That's a great point. Look at what we saw from Doge.gov, evidence of massive Social Security fraud, with payments going to people who are over 200 years old. Some are even listed as over 500.
I know, right?
So,
It's almost funny, but it just goes to show how much fraudulent activity is happening in the systems we already have. It dwarfs anything going on in the crypto world.
no kidding. We're talking about trillions of dollars in wasted government spending.
And this investigation could lead to savings of $4.7 trillion, with talk of 20% going back to U.S. citizens. That's money that could be going back in your pocket.
Wow, that really puts things in perspective. Makes you wonder if maybe we need to rethink the whole Wild West image of crypto. But speaking of shaking things up, let's talk about AI and how it's going to change our jobs. This is something you're interested in, right?
Absolutely. AI is changing everything so fast, it's only natural to wonder how it will affect us personally.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear out there about AI taking everyone's jobs, leaving us all in the dust. Are we all doomed?
It's not quite that dramatic. AI will definitely automate some tasks, but it's more about understanding what skills are most at risk.
Okay, so break it down for me. What should I be worried about?
Well, AI is really good at pattern recognition. So jobs that rely heavily on that, like radiologists reading scans or lawyers reviewing contracts, those are potentially vulnerable. And it's not just what people think of as low-skill jobs. AI could affect a lot of high-level professions, too.
So even those fancy lawyers with their big degrees, they're not safe. That's a game changer, and this is already happening in some surprising places.
You bet. Believe it or not, AI judges are already making decisions in boxing matches. They analyze the fight in real time, they score punches, they identify fouls, and they're as accurate as human judges, sometimes even more accurate.
AI judges? That's wild. Now I can't help but wonder, what other unexpected jobs could AI take over in the future?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
And it leads us to the big debate that came up in that Dubai podcast discussion. Does blockchain technology need AI, or does AI need blockchain?
Ah, yes. It sounds like there are some strong opinions on both sides. So let's break it down. First up, why does blockchain need AI? What were the arguments there?
Well, one big argument is that AI could revolutionize smart contracts. Those self-executing agreements that are at the core of many blockchain applications. AI could make the coding and auditing of those contracts way better.
So AI could make blockchain more secure and efficient? Tell me more.
Think about it. AI could analyze code to find vulnerabilities and prevent errors, which would make smart contracts much more reliable. It's like having a superpowered debugger constantly checking for bugs.
That's a huge advantage, especially when you're dealing with something as sensitive as financial transactions.
Exactly. And another area where AI could be huge is customer support and fraud detection in decentralized finance, or DeFi. DeFi can be super complex, even for people who know what they're doing.
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories about people losing everything because they made one little mistake or fell for a scam.
Exactly, and that's where AI could come in. Imagine AI chatbots that could guide users through complex transactions, answer questions instantly, and flag anything suspicious before it's too late.
Now, that would be a game changer. So AI could make DeFi more user-friendly and secure. What was the third argument for blockchain needing AI?
The third argument focuses on decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs. Think of them like organizations that are run by code, with decisions and actions determined by smart contracts.
So, like AI could run a company. That sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
It might be closer than we think. Some people argue that AI could really boost DAOs by automating tasks, analyzing data, and even making decisions. This could lead to much more efficient decentralized organizations.
I'm starting to see how AI could be a really powerful tool for blockchain technology. But what about the other side of the coin? Why would AI need blockchain? What were those arguments?
Well, people arguing for AI needing blockchain point to a few key advantages. First, blockchain offers a decentralized and transparent way to fund AI projects.
You mean things like initial coin offerings or ICOs?
Exactly. Or through security token offerings, which are kind of like digital stocks. These methods allow AI projects to raise capital directly from a global community without needing to go through traditional financial institutions.
Interesting. So it's about democratizing access to funding, giving more power to the developers and the community. What else?
Another argument is that blockchain-based payments could really streamline transactions within AI ecosystems. Think about subscriptions for AI services, micropayments for data usage, or even rewarding people for contributing data to train AI models, all happening seamlessly on a blockchain.
So instead of needing Visa or MasterCard, everything could be handled with crypto on a blockchain. That's a pretty big change.
It is. And finally, and maybe most importantly, blockchain can ensure data integrity for AI.
Data integrity, what does that mean in this context?
It means making sure that the data that's used to train AI models is accurate, reliable, and can't be tampered with. AI models are only as good as the data they learn from. If the data is messed up, the AI will be messed up too.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how does blockchain help with that?
Think of it this way. Blockchain creates an unchangeable record of data. Once information is added to the blockchain, it can't be changed or deleted. This is huge for AI because it means we can be sure that the data being used is authentic.
So blockchain acts like a super secure ledger, making sure AI is getting reliable information. That's super important, especially as AI starts making more and more decisions in our lives.
Absolutely. It's all about building trust and transparency, especially as AI gets more integrated into those critical systems.
Yeah.
But I know this can all feel a bit overwhelming. We're talking about some really complex stuff.
Yeah, my head's spinning. It's easy to feel like we're just along for the ride with all this tech hurtling towards who knows what.
I get that. But one thing I really want to emphasize is that even with all the hype around AI, human oversight and critical thinking are more important than ever.
So we're not all going to be replaced by robots just yet.
Not quite. Think about it this way. Imagine if AI was totally in charge of verifying your identity, like for KYC regulations that banks use to prevent fraud. Would you really be okay with that?
Honestly, I'd still want a human involved somewhere. It's my identity we're talking about.
Exactly. It just shows that we still need human judgment and ethical considerations, even with highly automated systems.
Plus, let's not forget about private keys in the crypto world. If you lose your private key, you lose access to everything. You can't just call customer service and get a new password.
That's a great point. Shows the tension between decentralization and user experience. In a world where AI might be managing DAO funds or making trades for people, those private keys become even more important.
So the big question is, what's the right balance between letting things be automated and keeping human control as all this tech keeps evolving? It feels like we're in uncharted territory.
We definitely are. Yeah. But by understanding these technologies and being part of the conversation, we can help shape the future in a way that works for everyone. It really feels like we're at this turning point, in our relationship with technology. We're moving from a world where it's just a tool to a world where it's like a partner, maybe even a decision maker.
Yeah, it's exciting and a little scary at the same time. We're talking about giving algorithms a lot of responsibility. But I guess every time there's a big technological leap, there are anxieties that come with it, right?
Exactly. Think about when cars were invented. It revolutionized transportation, but it also created a lot of new dangers and ethical questions.
Like drunk driving, traffic accidents, pollution.
Exactly. Every step forward comes with new challenges. The key is to approach these innovations with optimism, but also caution. Embrace the good stuff, but be aware of the risks and try to minimize them.
So when it comes to AI and blockchain, what are some of the specific risks we should be watching out for?
One of the biggest concerns is the potential for bias in AI systems. AI models learn from data, and if that data reflects existing societal biases, the AI will just perpetuate them.
So, for instance, if an AI is trained on data that shows men are more likely to be CEOs than women, it might unfairly overlook female candidates for leadership positions.
That's a simple example, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
It's a really important issue because AI is being used more and more in things like hiring loan applications, even criminal justice.
It's not just about AI taking jobs, it's about AI potentially making unfair decisions that could really impact people's lives.
Exactly. And that's where the transparency of blockchain could be really valuable.
Yeah.
If we could record those AI decision-making processes on a blockchain, we could audit those decisions and see if there's bias and hold the people who created those systems accountable.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the black box problem with AI? Even if we can see the decisions being made, we often don't understand how the AI got to those decisions.
Yeah, that lack of explainability is a major obstacle. We need to figure out how to make those AI decisions more transparent and understandable, even for people who aren't tech experts.
So it's not just about building better AI, it's about building AI that we can actually trust and understand.
Exactly. And that's where I think open source development and collaboration are going to be crucial.
Speaking of open source and collaboration, you mentioned something about a new initiative called the Human AI X Alliance.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's a decentralized AI alliance that's trying to bring together developers, researchers, and companies in the Web3 space to work together on building ethical and transparent AI systems.
So it's like a think tank for the future of AI powered by blockchain.
You could say that the goal is to create a platform for sharing knowledge, developing standards, and promoting innovation in decentralized AI.
And you said this alliance just launched in Hong Kong.
Yeah, we had a great launch event at the Verse, which is a really cool venue in Hong Kong. We had speakers from Google Cloud, Adir, and some really interesting Web3 companies like Holochain XY Network and Supermoon.
Big names, cutting-edge technology, all coming together to shape the future of AI. It sounds like you're pretty optimistic about this alliance.
I am. I really believe that by working together, we can use the power of AI and blockchain to create a future that's more equitable, transparent, and sustainable.
That's a vision I can get behind. But let's not forget about the elephant in the room, regulation. Governments around the world are still figuring out how to handle these new technologies. What role do you think regulation will play?
Well, regulation is bound to happen, and in many ways it's necessary. But it's really important that regulators approach these technologies with a nuanced understanding of what they can do and what the challenges are.
So no knee-jerk reactions or outright bans?
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
We need regulation that encourages innovation but also protects people and prevents harm. And that means policymakers, tech people, and the wider community need to talk to each other.
That sounds pretty challenging. But I guess that's the challenge and the opportunity of all this new territory we're in.
It is. And it's a challenge we need to face because the stakes are high.
Yeah.
The decisions we make now about AI and blockchain will have a big impact on the world we live in tomorrow.
Well, on that note, let's step back from the big picture for a minute and talk about your own personal experience with AI. You mentioned you used ChatGPT to solve a technical issue with your electronic drum kit.
Yes. I was struggling for weeks to get my drums connected to my laptop and get the sound working right. I tried all sorts of things, but nothing seemed to work. Then I thought I'd give ChatGPT a shot. It was amazing. I described the problem, and in just a few minutes, ChatGPT came up with a step-by-step solution that actually worked. I couldn't believe how quickly and easily it solved a problem that had been driving me crazy.
So ChatGPT is your new tech support buddy.
It's definitely become a really useful tool, and it's just one example of how AI is already making a difference in our lives.
I feel like I need to catch up with all the AI stuff. What other AI tools have you been using?
Well, I've been playing around with Midjourney to create images. It's pretty cool to see how AI can make original artwork just from simple text prompts. I even used it to try and design a logo for my band.
Wow. So AI is your band's new creative director.
Not quite, but it's definitely helpful for exploring ideas and trying new things.
And what about Grok 3? They talked about it in that Dubai podcast as being the smartest AI on Earth. Have you tried it out?
Yeah, I've been using it for a few days now, and it's definitely impressive. It's way more powerful than Grok 2, and it can do some really incredible things.
Like what? Give me some examples.
It's great at coding, writing, and translating languages.
Right.
It can even make realistic images and write music. But what's really interesting is that it keeps learning and adapting as you use it.
So the more you use it, the smarter it gets. That's kind of exciting and kind of creepy.
It is. It makes you think about what intelligence really is, and if AI could actually become smarter than humans in some ways. But for now, Grok 3 is just a really powerful tool, and it's up to us to use it responsibly.
And how are you using it responsibly? What are some of the ways you're using Grok 3 in your work or projects?
I've been using it to help me with research writing, even brainstorming new ideas. It's really good at summarizing complex information, creating content, and exploring different perspectives on a topic.
So it's like having a super smart research assistant always available.
Exactly. And it's always learning and getting better.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how Grok 3 and other AI tools will evolve and impact the world in the coming years.
It really feels like we're at the beginning of something big, doesn't it?
It does. And it's up to all of us to be part of this conversation, to understand how these technologies can help us and what the risks are, and to work together to make sure AI and blockchain are used to make things better for everyone.
Well said. But let's not get too carried away with all the positive possibilities.
Sure.
You also talked about some potential downsides of AI merging with blockchain, especially when it comes to using private keys for authentication.
Right. That's a really important point
Mm.
that often gets lost in all the excitement about what AI can do. Imagine a world where you need a different private key to access your email, your bank account, your social media profiles, your health records, even your AI assistant.
Ugh, that sounds like a nightmare.
It would be. And the stakes are high.
Mm.
If you lose your private key, you lose access to everything. There's no customer support, no password reset. You're just locked out.
So it's all about finding the right balance between security and convenience.
Exactly. We need to find ways to make things secure, but also easy for people to use.
And what about AI being used for bad things? I mean, we've all seen those sci-fi movies where robots take over the world.
That's a valid concern. Any technology can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us as a society to set up rules and safeguards to make sure AI is used for the right reasons.
So we need to be proactive, not reactive.
Absolutely. We can't just wait for problems to happen and then try to fix them.
Yeah.
We need to think ahead and build in those safeguards from the start.
Okay, that's a lot to think about. But I'm starting to get a clearer picture of all this. We've talked about what AI and blockchain can do, the things we need to watch out for, and how important it is to develop them responsibly. But I'm curious to hear more about your personal view. You said you don't think AI necessarily needs blockchain. Can you say more about that?
Sure, I think blockchain can definitely improve certain aspects of AI, but I don't think it's essential for AI to exist or work. AI can function just fine without blockchain, and in some cases, adding blockchain might actually make things more complicated and slow things down.
So you're not one of those blockchain people who thinks it's the solution to everything when it comes to AI?
Not at all.
Oh.
I'm practical. I think we should use the best tool for the job, and sometimes that might not be blockchain.
Fair enough. But you did talk about some areas where blockchain could help AI, like funding, data integrity, and access. Can you expand on that a bit?
Of course. Let's start with funding. Like we discussed before, blockchain can help with decentralized funding for AI projects through ICOs and security token offerings. This can be really helpful for startups and independent developers who might not be able to get funding through traditional channels.
So blockchain can make it easier for people with good AI ideas to get the money they need.
Exactly. It gives everyone a chance, even if they don't have connections in the financial world.
Okay, that makes sense. What about data integrity? How does blockchain make sure that the data used to train AI is reliable?
Blockchain keeps a record of the data that can't be tampered with. So it's much harder for someone to mess with the data that AI uses to learn. This builds trust in those AI applications because we know the AI is working with good information.
So blockchain is like a guardian of the data, protecting it from being compromised.
That's a good way to put it. It adds security and transparency, which are really important for building strong AI systems.
And what about access? You mentioned blockchain could improve access to AI. How so?
Blockchain can make it possible to create AI marketplaces where anyone can use AI tools and services no matter where they are or how much money they have. This could be really helpful for developing countries or communities that don't have access to the latest AI.
So blockchain can help make AI more inclusive.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
It's about making sure everyone has access to knowledge and technology, which is a core value of decentralization.
Okay. I'm starting to see how blockchain fits into all of this. It's not a cure-all for AI, but it can be a useful tool for dealing with some key issues. But you also said there were some worries about combining AI and blockchain, particularly because crypto can be complicated and hard to use.
Yeah, that's a real problem.
Yeah.
Right now, blockchain tech is often too complex for the average person. If we want more people to use AI that's powered by blockchain, we need to make it simpler and easier to understand.
So user experience is crucial.
Absolutely. We need to make interfaces that are intuitive, streamline those processes, and provide clear information so people can understand this new technology.
And what about security? We talked about the risks of losing private keys, but are there also risks of hacks and exploits in blockchain systems?
Security is super important in any tech system, especially if it deals with personal data or money.
Mm.
Blockchain is designed to be secure, but no system is perfect.
So it's like a constant battle between the people who are building secure systems and the hackers who are trying to find weaknesses.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
But security is also about education. People need to understand how important it is to have strong passwords, keep their private keys safe, and watch out for scams.
That sounds like a lot of responsibility for the average person.
It is, but it's a responsibility we all need to take seriously if we want to use these powerful technologies safely.
Okay, my brain is full. We've covered so much in this deep dive. It's been fascinating to explore all these ideas about AI and blockchain.
It's a lot to take in, I know.
Like that?
But hopefully it's made you curious and given you a better understanding of this complex and exciting world.
It definitely has. But before we wrap up, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier. The possibility of AI becoming more capable than humans. Is that something we should be worried about? Are we going to create Skynet and end up with a robot apocalypse?
That's a question that's been around for a long time. And while we can't predict the future for sure, I think it's important to approach AI development with humility and a sense of responsibility.
So no evil robot overlords.
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to make sure AI is used for good.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. You've given me a lot to think about, and I'm definitely going to be following all the developments in AI and blockchain more closely.
I encourage you to. It's a field that's changing all the time, and understanding these technologies is going to become more and more important in the future.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll be having this conversation with an AI co-host.
That's an interesting idea.
Mm.
Maybe we'll even let the AI choose the topics for our next deep dive.
Now that would be a real mind bender.
Until then, keep learning and exploring. The future of technology is waiting to be written.
It feels like we're on the verge of something totally new.
Right. But it's not just the technology itself. It's like the ideas behind it. The philosophies driving it all.
Yeah, for sure. I think we get caught up in the what of technology, like the gadgets, the code, the apps. But we need to be thinking about the why. Why are we building this stuff? What are we trying to solve? What kind of world are we trying to make?
It's like we're writing the next chapter in human history, but with code. And we want to make sure it's a chapter we can be proud of.
Exactly. That's where the human side of things comes in. Technology is just a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. It's on us to guide its development and make sure it actually benefits humanity.
So it's not just about the technical stuff. It's about ethics, responsibility, human values. How do we build those values into the technology itself?
One way is through human-centered design. It basically means putting human needs and values first when you're designing tech. You have to think about how it's going to affect people's lives, their well-being, their sense of purpose, even their relationships with each other. So designing technology that helps people, not the other way around, makes sense. But how do we make sure this actually happens? Let's be real, we live in a world where profit often comes before people.
I hear you. But I do think things are changing. More and more companies are realizing that sustainability, being socially responsible, thinking about ethics, those aren't just trendy words. They're actually important for long-term success.
So it's not just about doing the right thing. It's good business. That's something everyone can get behind. But if I'm being honest, I'm still a bit skeptical. I mean, we've seen how tech can be used to take advantage of people, to manipulate them, even to control them. Are we really good enough at regulating ourselves?
That's a valid concern, and it's why we need to be careful, think critically, and actively participate in shaping the future we want. We can't just let technology run our lives. We need to be engaged, informed, and empowered to make choices that reflect what we believe in.
So no more just scrolling through social media. I guess it's time to dust off those critical thinking skills.
Well, I'm not saying we need to ditch technology altogether, but we need to be more aware of how we use it and how it's affecting us. Think for yourself. Question everything and look for different perspectives.
Okay, my to-do list just got a lot longer. But I appreciate the challenge and the inspiration. This deep dive has really given me a new way of looking at technology and a sense of responsibility for how it all unfolds.
That's great to hear. We're all in this together, and we all have a part to play in creating the future we want.
Well said. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for today. It's been a fascinating deep dive. We've covered a lot, from those meme coins to AI boxing judges, from the complexities of blockchain to the ethical considerations of AI.
It's been quite a ride, and I hope our listeners learned something and that it got them thinking.
And I'm sure it did. And as always, we encourage you to keep learning about these things, talk about them, and be an active part of shaping the future of technology.
Because the future doesn't just happen to us, we create it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, stay curious and stay engaged.